everyone. I'll call the workshop session to order. First item will be a discussion and recap of the solar eclipse town hall meeting.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to briefly take this opportunity to go through and kind of hit some highlights from our solar eclipse town hall. We had great representation and participation. We had council, we had several Lampasas staff members, we had Chamber of Commerce, the county, Hamilton EMS, Lampasas ISD, media coverage, and approximately 80 to 85 citizens were present. So discussion points, we talked about the safety of the solar eclipse, expected visitors and attendance, collaboration and coordination efforts with EMS, county, chamber, and TxDOT, planning tools and resources, logistics, training and preparedness for not only for staff but for citizens as well. Life safety, communication, maximum staffing, so the county will be divided in quadrants for emergency services. The possible closures of facilities, schools, and businesses on that day or that weekend. Restroom availability, possible congestion with traffic, internet, cellular service. Supply readiness for businesses and for the community, as far as your gas, water, food, medicines, minimize travel. And then the solar eclipse website that has been put together with information, and it'll continue to be added on as we gather more information as the months continue. Then we also have the leasing of homes for the Airbnb, the RBO, and HIP camp if somebody chooses to do so, or has questions about that during that time. Permitting requirements and zoning regulations. Businesses, adjusting the hours or staffing, extra supplies that businesses may need, possibly different storage areas around their vicinity. Transactions that some may want to have more cash on hand than credit cards, just in case we do get overloaded with our self-service and not able to use the internet. Food prep, limited menu, pre-order for merchandise if they choose to sell it. And then of course the walkaways that we had from this meeting, they were inquiring about helicopter availability for emergencies. Allowing camping at the airport, event planning, what we're looking at as far as to plan for this weekend, which will be from 5 Friday up until noon on Tuesday. We want to have a positive experience for visitors, but open parks and necessities restrooms will be available. Designated places for people to park, watch, and sleep. Possible have charter buses will be in the area, so we want to make sure we have room for them as well. Then we have the radio frequency to work with radio stations, work with local entities to make sure that we have that available. Roll-offs, several people mentioned trash, a lot of debris, so we want to make sure we have some roll-offs available, kind of like what we do at Spring Hill anyway. Porta potties and cleaning service, make sure we can clean and have provided for those porta potties that we're able to put around town, strategically placed. And then of course the burn ban illegal dumping, we want to keep an eye on that as well. A few things I do want to mention is that this morning there was a business roundtable at the chamber that was held at 10. It went very well. There's about 20 people in attendance. Wednesday there will be another staff recap to discuss the solar eclipse event in the town hall. And then throughout the next couple of months there'll be some targeted meetings and some monthly meetings, quarterly meetings with various businesses. They'll highlight some with HEB, Walmart to make sure they're prepared as well. And then all businesses will be quarterly as we move forward. If you have any specific questions that I cannot address, you can speak with Chief Smith or with Lisa.
I did hear from one attendee, Mr. Inspecting, who mentioned Fort Hood would be a good resource. I think I've heard Melissa mention that, but again, just make sure that.
Absolutely. And I did mention that to Chief Smith this morning, just as another alternative for us to have as a resource.
When in this process do we start talking about budget constraints?
For a budget for this, for the activities?
I think we have already started to take a look at some of the numbers, but we have not. We don't know the exact scope. For example, is it 50 porta potties or is it 150? So we need to fine tune some of those numbers. But I think relatively soon we'll be able to get a handle on what this event may cost us, as well as what we may. What we may read. That would be nice, but I can't speak for the county, nor would I maybe expect anything. We can certainly, I think the approach has certainly been collaborative. When it comes down to it, I can't speak for their financial support or resources.
Anything else?
Do y'all have any feedback from the town hall that y'all would like to provide to staff?
It was very well attended. We had some nice questions to ask.
Absolutely.
Hopefully we'll get some answers before the event.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks to all of you for providing all that information. Next item is discussion regarding the department certification pay.
Okay, so this item has been placed on the agenda to discuss updates to the City of Lampasas employee personnel policy by ordinance. So specific to employee compensation and advancement, subsection certification and incentive pay. The certification and incentive pay were approved through budgetary process, however, they were not formally adopted by ordinance. So that's what I'm here today, is just to clean it up, make sure it's all adopted by ordinance, and then we'll get back onto our personnel policy correctly. So if you look on page 10 and 11, it kind of outlines what I'm changing or updating on the personnel policy based on what's already been approved. So you'll see like in the fire medical section, we're removing the EMTP 1,200 per year because that's no longer in effect. We no longer use that line item. In the police officer section, it was kind of intermingled with the police officer and the police dispatcher, so we separated those items out to make it more clear. For the fire marshal already gets a certain amount of pay based on the pay scale. This is deemed more for the assistant fire marshals that assist the fire marshal in their day-to-day operations. The pesticide applicators and state license, this is deemed right now towards parks. However, I left it open just in case there were other departments, such as street department, that chose to take on this applicator's license or to assist in the future. So in order to do this certificate, or the incentive, you have to have a basic for general law and you have to have one alternate. So I listed out the alternates for you as well. So you have the plant pest and weed control, the right-of-way pest control, the applied plant and animal pest control. So you have to have one of those with your basic, and then you're able to get that incentive. And the commercial pool operator certification, plumber state license, code enforcement, and then the Texas Register municipal clerk. So all these are in effect today. I'm just adding them to our personnel policy. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Becky.
Thank you.
Next item is discussion regarding any item on the regular agenda. Council wish to discuss anything? Do we need a break? Let's read on. Give a motion to adjourn the workshop.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
We'll go straight into the regular session. I'll call to order the regular session of the council meeting. Chief Cummings, would you please? Chief Smith.
With great praise. Lord, we thank you for this evening. We thank you for the past weekend of the service of Easter. We pray that you be with us this evening as we gather, that you impart wisdom, insight on these people that we've elected to do the business of our city. We pray that you just watch over us in all that we do. In Christ's name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Presentations and proclamations. We do have a swearing-in ceremony of Officer Jason Lemons by Judge Riddell.
Judge. Mr. Lemons is walking over. I apologize, that went a lot quicker than I thought. May I recommend that Joe is here for the proclamation for Animal Control
Okay,
Officer Week?
let's go with that.
Thank you,
Judge
ma'am.
Riddell, thank you. We'll go back to that. Proclamation for animal control.
Hello.
Whereas the National Animal Control Association has designated the second week of April each year as Animal Control Officer Appreciation Week. And whereas the various federal, state, and local government officials throughout the country take this time to recognize, thank, and commend all animal control officers and animal control staff for the dedicated service they provide to the citizens, various public safety, public service agencies, and departments across the country. And whereas the city of Lampasas would like to express its sincere thanks and appreciation for the outstanding services the Lampasas animal control officers provide on a daily basis to the citizens of the city and to the various public safety, public service agencies and departments. Whereas the city of Lampasas recognizes and commends Joe Swartzer, the animal control officer, for the many dedicated and long hours in serving this community and for fulfilling the animal control officer's commitment to providing the highest and most efficient level of customer service. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Lampasas, Texas, does hereby proclaim April 9th through the 15th, 2023, as National Animal Control Officer Appreciation Week in the City of Lampasas, Texas, and encourage all citizens to join in expressing their sincere appreciation for the service and dedication of our animal control officer. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. That's okay.
Record Supervisor and Dispatcher Kelly St. Louis here, if I could recommend the next proclamation for,
Hold on, I wanted to take a break there.
Good call, man.
Okay, next one is National Telecommunicators Week. Whereas Congress and the President of the United States have established the second week of April as National Telecommunicators Week, whereas an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property. And the City of Lampasas public safety telecommunicators are the single vital link between the first responders and persons seeking immediate relief during an emergency. And whereas the work of these unseen first responders is invaluable in emergency situations, whereas each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job in the past year. Now, therefore, I am T.J. Monroe, Mayor of the City of Lampasas, and on behalf of the entire City Council, do hereby proclaim the week of April 9th through 15th, 2023, as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in the City of Lampasas, Texas, and encourage the citizens of Lampasas to express their appreciation to the Lampasas Public Safety Telecommunicators for their diligence and professionalism in keeping our city and citizens safe. Thank you so much.
I think you need an award for getting both those out without even messing up a word.
I think I have.
Thank you.
Mayor, I apologize. I told our officer and his mother to swear in at 5:45. I know they're on their way over, but they're just not upstairs
Yeah, there's no problem, we're all happy there.
yet. Okay. All right.
Do I have it?
I understand y'all were waiting on me, right? Sorry for that.
Typically waiting on a nicer guy, right?
Well, I'm not gonna argue with you, Mayor. Jason, would you join us? And your mom Cynthia, come on up.
My grandma's coming with us.
Say again.
Judge Grinnell, I think we're ready.
Yeah, we'll wait. We're waiting on his grandmother. She needs to take the elevator, if that's okay, council.
No, we're good.
I don't know the answer to that. How old is the baby? Yeah,
About 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
They're from Washington State. Here she is.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. First, I'd like to thank you for your patience for me tonight. Sorry to come in a little late. But I'm excited to be here tonight to introduce to you our newest officer. This is Jason Lemons. Jason Lemons started with us about a week ago, and this is his first patrol job. He just graduated the academy back in December. Take a second to brag on Jason. Jason was the academic leader of his entire cadet class, meaning he scored the highest GPA of all the cadets that went to the last academy, the one that finished in December at least. Prior to working for us, he did accept a job at Bourbon County Sheriff's Office, but was working in the jail. And his passion is to work the road, and we were able to offer him that position. So we're glad that he accepted our job. Jason lived in the town area prior to working for us, but recently acquired a home here in Lampasas and is making Lampasas his home, not only for his job, but where he actually lives. I'm going to ask that Judge Grinnell come up to a ceremonial swearing in. Here to pin Jason is his mother, Cynthia.
All right. Turn and face me. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Jason Lemons. I, Jason Lemons. Do hereby solemnly swear. Do hereby solemnly swear. That I will faithfully execute the duties. Will faithfully execute the duties of the office of Lampasas Police Officer. The office of Lampasas Police Officer. And will, to the best of my ability. And will, to the best of my ability. Preserve, protect, and defend. Preserve, protect, and defend. Constitution and laws of the United States. Constitution and laws of the United States. And of this state. And of this state. So help me God. So help me God. Congratulations.
Go ahead and tip Jason, please. Yes, if I could get everybody here that's with Jason to come on up, family picture, please. You might win the award for the most attendees.
Congratulations.
Thank y'all very much.
Congratulations, Jason. Welcome to Lampasas.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Evan. Thank you, guys. Good evening.
Appreciate it. Next item, public hearings. Citizen comments. Any citizen who desires to address the city council on a matter that is not included on the agenda may do so at this time. We have no one. Citizen comments. Any citizen who desires to address the council on a matter that is included on the agenda may do so at this time. No one. Next item is a public hearing to receive citizen comments regarding an amendment in Chapter 82, Utilities, Article 3, Sanitary Sewer System, Division 5, Industrial Sewer Use.
Mayor and council, this item is placed on the agenda to receive public comment on proposed changes to Chapter 82 Utilities. We had received input from Jones Heroy Engineering, as evidenced by the included email, regarding about 3 changes, 3 sections that he wished the council considered to change, that were primarily all related to duplicated and conflicting language, and also to clarify definitions and formulas. I am happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Does anyone from the audience wish to speak to this? Close that public hearing. Next item is a public hearing to receive citizen comments relating to an amendment to the employee personnel policy with departmental certification pay and it relates to specific job responsibilities.
Mayor and council, this item is discussed at a workshop, and this is just providing the citizen comments regarding the change to the ordinance for the personnel policy.
Any comments? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next item. Minutes, discussion and possible action concerning the approval of minutes of the special meeting held on March 22nd, 2023.
I didn't see any corrections, recommend approval.
Second. Have a motion and a second, all those in favor? Next item, discussion and possible action concerning approval of minutes of the regular meeting held on March 27th.
Again, I didn't see any corrections, recommend approval.
Second. All those in favor? Any opposed? We have 3 items on the consent agenda. Number 1, discussion and possible action regarding purchases and charges in excess of $4,000 from March 1 to March 31, 2023. Number 2, discussion and possible action regarding the second reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 54, Parks and Recreation, Article 3, Division 2, Sulphur Creek, and Division 3, parts of the Lampasas Code of Ordinances. Item 3, discussion and possible action regarding the second reading of an ordinance to re-adopt Chapter 50 offenses, Article 2, curfew for minors is required by state law every 3 years. Does anyone wish to pull either of those?
Recommend approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Any opposed? We have the Board of Department reports. Next item is City Manager's operational report.
Mayor and council, just a few brief comments that correspond to the memo that was included in the packet. Pool season, we're pleased to report that we're in much better shape than we reported to you a couple of weeks ago in terms of applications. As of publication of this memo, we've received 2 applications for manager, 2 for assistant manager, 13 for lifeguard, and 6 for cashier. And I believe that since the time of my memo, we've actually gotten a handful more. Remember that goal is on the order of 28 to 32 staffing, so although we're not there, the news is certainly much better. We will continue to report as progress is made. Cooper Spring, you should have received an invitation to the Founders Recognition. We just simply wanted to include this in the report to remind you, April 22nd, 10 a.m. at the park entrance is Cooper Spring. It is to highlight and recognize those folks that have provided pretty significant financial and other resources, most notably Rex and Linda Johnson, and it's certainly a worthy recognition that you would put that on your calendar. TxDOT Transportation Alternative Project, pleased to report that has been selected to receive second round consideration. That, as a reminder, is for bicycle pedestrian infrastructure and planning. We will be required to provide a detailed application, and as an overview, that is in the vicinity of Western and North Street. That will be due June 5, and with funding expected in the fall of 2023 if chosen for funding. Utility rates, I placed this on the report listing just to give council the opportunity to, if you needed any additional information, if you wanted to further study, if you felt like you wanted to place this on a workshop to look over again. It is related to the external impacts, the wholesale costs of water and electricity, and certainly staff is interested in your input on if we need to talk about this more or set it on the agenda.
I would think we'd want to bring it back to council as a package.
Agree.
Anyone else?
We'll place it on the next workshop agenda. Skate park, we wanted to report that the additional grooming and final grading has been completed for the skate park, and although that's been done, it will look a little bare until some vegetation is established. We wanted to get that done once the contractor had removed his equipment as well as the container, and this is in anticipation of the April 15 ribbon cutting. 580 Sports Park, we wanted to report to you, Ryan met with the disc golf folks as well as the bike trail folks last week, and it's my understanding they had a very productive meeting, although the results of it were not available at the time that I wrote this memo. And again, getting their heads together to avoid any future conflicts. In both of those, you can see by the attached layout, it looks pretty darn busy. But I think it was a productive, good meeting. I think that they'll be able to move both these projects forward to the Parks Board and into Council. Did I miss anything, Ryan?
Yes, sir.
Senior Center, we are soliciting bids for the repair to the west wall of the Senior Center. As a reminder, that was a result of an impact to the exterior wall that sheared some studs and displaced them off the bottom plate. Once we get that, we'll likely have to bring that back to council unless it's a very insignificant amount, but I don't really see that as happening. The building, with the exception of the area to be repaired, is available for use, and it's through those programs offered through the Hill Country Community Action Association. Included in the, yes ma'am?
I'm so sorry. I was just curious. Were we able to file an insurance claim on that?
We will. We need to get the amount, we need to get the cost for repairs first, so we will be able to file a claim.
All right, thank you.
EMS report is also included. This indicates for the month of March, the total calls in Lampasas County, about 243 of that, 156 were within the city limits, or 65% of those calls. Also of note is a letter that is included in the report recognizing and commending first responders, including City of Lampasas responders for actions taken during the cave collapse on the Lampasas River. Fire department responders included Frank Potter, Morris Wilkins, and Captain Colton Baker. Be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
No mayor's comments. Next, no unfinished business. Next item is new business. 7.1, presentation and acceptance of the emergency management report.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. 20 years ago, I would have had somebody help me bring up the emergency management plan with me. Now we have it all right here. Thank goodness for technology. The information provided in your packet, you can see that the emergency management plan is a living, breathing document. It's always changing. But to go over that and give you a little bit of background on this, we use several different things as far as preparing the emergency management. What we're going to focus on with our emergency management plan is we're going to look specifically at the city of Lampasas and how we're going to deal with a broad range of emergencies. When we look at the basic plan outlines how we're going to respond to overall emergencies. We're going to usually do that through mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. And we go down through that, we're gonna address specific emergencies that may occur here in the city of Lampasas. In the basic plan, we're gonna identify the risks that are associated with those particular types of emergencies, and we did make some changes. Previously, as far as cold weather, significant freezing and stuff like that, we were not identified as that being a very likely thing to happen here in the city of Lampasas, but now we've seen two winters in a row where that did come about, and it does play a part in what we do here. So we've made some changes in that area also. And once we get away from the basic plan, we're going to look at several different annexes. And those annexes describe several different areas. If you look down there, Annex A, it starts with warning. It goes all the way through, I believe, Annex D now, which is terroristic attack. Let me make sure that's right. U is legal and V is terrorist attacks, I believe.
Yes.
I'm right. Yes. So it goes A, B, C, and I'm sure they have room for more coming in there. Now, a lot of these specific annexes go beyond just what we are going to respond to. These are going to be dealing with a county response. They're going to be dealing with a regional response, and it's going to involve assistance from throughout the region, from the Central Texas Council of Governments. It's going to require assistance from Fort Hood. Obviously, going to the terrorist attack, we would use them. I'm not sure how many of y'all are aware, but in the county in the last month, we did have an unexploded device, and that was out to the east of us. At that point, they got assistance from Fort Hood, and they also got assistance from McLennan County. This plan is what details how we deal with all those types of different emergencies in there. Okay, so that's what we're looking at when we talk about all this. Seeing this A through B, I could go over each one of these, but we'll start with warning. And it's a simple thing, and I'm not going to go through every one of these unless you want me to. I'll be glad to, but warning is probably one of the more important ones. And if we break that down and we go through all those different areas, there's going to be 10 different areas that we look at in every one of these that we're always going to focus on it. And it's a very repetitive thing. If you've looked at the emergency management plan in the past, it always starts out with, where do we get the authority from? This came into play whenever we had COVID. Whenever we said, hey, we're shutting down the city of Lampasas for this period of time, when we initially did that, we referenced the authority that gave us to do that. And that's what we always want to make sure of is, why are we doing this? How do we have the power and the authority to do that? And it details all this through there, and it goes through the purpose and explanation of terms, situations and assumptions, concept of operations, organization and assignment of responsibilities, direction and control, and then readiness levels, administration and support, and then plan development and maintenance. This is an ongoing document. We're going to review this each year. We're going to make any updates that are required in there, but where this goes from here is we want to get everybody's blessing on this, make sure that it's good. If you want to print out 1,000 pages of this, we're going to send you a digital copy of it, and you be sure to print out that 1,000 pages and have it through there, or you can go through the PDF and read it. But once we get all that done, we will submit it to the state for updating and everything like that. It will require signature of me, the city manager, the mayor, those types of things, and we will move forward with that. But right now, if y'all have any questions on this, I'll be glad to answer any of those.
If we could get a motion and then we'll ask some questions.
Make a motion to accept the emergency management report as presented.
Does anyone have any questions for Chief Smith? Do have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
7.2, discussion and possible action regarding the ratification of purchase of a 2023 Chevrolet 1500 crew cab for the cemetery in the amount of $38,179.86.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. As you can see, I'm filling in for Chris Eicher, our Parks Director, tonight. He couldn't be at this meeting, but I did want to say, and I know it's been an important piece, is making sure we're maintaining things as far as our fleet, our cemetery. Crew had got a pickup truck, a half-ton single cab approved in our budgetary, when we went through budget items for the fiscal, and it was for the amount of $35,000. As we, Chris, worked with different vendors, Hoff Power, a local vendor here in town, had a half-ton Chevrolet that was actually coming available quicker. than having to wait on some of the other trucks through some of the other vendors. And in fact, while it was over budget, it was a crew cab instead of a single cab. So really the price on the truck, the $38,179.86, is very viable for that type of pickup for the use. There's actually 3 folks that work at the cemetery. A lot of times they work with other parks groups, and so having that crew cab is really a benefit to that group as well. And this is really to ratify the purchase. The budgetary money is in that GL account that will be pulled from parks. And I stand for any questions.
Make a motion. I make a motion to approve the ratification and purchase of the 2023 Chevrolet 1500 crew cab truck for the cemetery in the amount not to exceed $38,179.86.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions for Mr. Ward?
Good deal. Have it more.
It really was compared to some of the other quotes. It was really good.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
7.3, discussion and possible action regarding the first reading of an ordinance to amend chapter 82 utilities, article 3 sanitary sewer system, division 5 industrial sewer use.
Mayor and Council, this was discussed in public hearing. Be happy to answer any questions.
Make a motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance to amend chapter 82 utilities, article 3 sanitary sewer system, division 5 industrial sewer use, section 82-242 specific prohibitions, sections 82-247 surcharge for certain rates, other charges and fees, and section 82-261 review and approval, preliminary treatment, required facilities.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Did anyone have any questions for Finley? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 7.4, discussion and possible action regarding a professional services agreement with N&S Engineering LLC as it relates to an electrical engineering and design proposal for phase 1 of the business park electrical system.
Good afternoon again, Mayor and Council. This particular infrastructure piece for our business park is one that still needs to be completed. As you'll see in your packet, attached is the scope of work as well as a contract and basically the layout for phase 1 and 2 of the electrical system at the business park. We have various engineers. This is a professional contract, professional services contract. We did reach out to M&S. And their proposal came back in for basically a 3-phase line to be run. And if you're familiar with the business park, if you look at the map that's attached, the green line is existing in the county road, and then you have the red solid line that cuts through the southern piece of the business park and connects to 183. You have the center road piece that's dashed, which will be underground. And then it comes back and loops back to the existing line there on 183 to solid red. The second phase, which is in blue, will be something that could possibly benefit as the park fills in the future, so you could pull that power off of the 183 corridor there from the front. Currently, the way the lots are laid out and the way it's designed is there's access either through the middle roadway that cuts the business park or through the southern roadway. At this point, the second phase of the business park is not built out, which is further to the south. But the blue line, just so that I'm kind of clear on what phase 2 would benefit other than just feeding those lines off 183. At some point, we would like to loop our system to the other feeder, and so going towards Old Georgetown Road and back that away to the north actually gives the business park a full loop. It's currently fed off Naruba now. This engineering design proposal was for $25,000, and that was for that first phase, as I described. It's coming from procurement 81-510 and 53-46, which is engineering and surveying. Obviously, what's in the budget now is $100,000, but $25,000 will be used for design. I stand for any questions.
I move to approve professional service agreement with M&S Engineering LLC as it relates to electrical engineering and design proposal for phase 1 of the Business Park electrical system.
A second.
Have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions for Mr. Ward? All those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
7.5, discussion and possible action regarding amending ordinance 1148 of the Lampasas Code of Ordinances of the City of Lampasas, Texas, which adopted the 2006 City of Lampasas Personnel Policy Manual, Section 5.00, Employee Compensation and Investment, subsection 512, Certification Pay, Incentive Pay, repealing and conflicting ordinances and/or city policies, including a severability clause and establishing an effective date.
Mayor and council, this item was discussed during workshop and during public hearing. At this time, I'm asking to consider a motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance to amend section 5, employee compensation and advancement, subsection 5.12, certification incentive pay, and the City of Lampasas personnel policy, repealing conflicting ordinances and or city policies, including severability clause, and establishing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
7.6, discussion and possible action regarding the award of a quote to Track and Sol for installation of SCADA programming equipment at the Hidden Oaks lift station in the amount of $31,875,000.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you read, Mayor, this quote is for Track Control to install all hardware and programming to install SCADA at the Hidden Oaks lift station. Any questions?
Let's do a motion and then we'll ask the questions if necessary.
Make a motion to approve the quote from Track Control in the amount of $31,875 for the installation and programming of a SCADA at Hidden Oaks lift station, and authorize the city manager to execute all related documents.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have some questions for Van?
This was budgeted, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
No other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Discussion and possible action regarding the acceptance of fiscal year 2021-2022 audit report.
Mayor and council, as you're probably aware, council appointed a couple of members to serve on an ad hoc audit review committee that met with the auditor prior to this meeting. Just a couple of very quick things that I would point out to you related to the audit, and then certainly I would defer to Councilmember Keeney and Pro Tem Williamson, the mayor, to also provide their input and perspective on the audit. It was a good audit. We want to point out just a couple of things. The management letter did indicate that the opinion is classified as unmodified, so everything was good. Nathan enjoys working here. No transactions. There was no transactions that indicated a lack of authoritative guidance or consensus. The financials are clear, and he also noted that no difficulties in dealing with management. Just a couple of other quick points. Your general fund balance also is noted in the management letters, about 39% of your non-capital general fund expenditures. A little over $4 million, and that is normally the target. I think that auditors and the council will tell you is 25% of your non-capital annual operating budget is considered healthy. The proprietary net position is also summarized on page 11, where you can see that particularly all of your proprietary funds, your utility funds, your golf course, etc., all are very healthy and maintain a level of fund balance or net position in those departments that are in the 4 to 6 month range. The auditor did point out two notes, which did not change or alter the unmodified position. One was in reference to the investment policy. They did cite the 5% threshold with some exceptions, one for any investment pools or any U.S. Treasury securities. We've since gotten clarification because he kept me up one night and I wrote Nathan the next day and I said, "Are you sure about this?" And he emailed me back and he stands corrected, at least on part of it. We do, it's 50% in any one fund we can invest in. The other thing to remember is our financial advisor, Linda Patterson, used to work for the city of Fort Worth, and when they did the Public Funds Investment Act as legislation, she was one of the important people that helped write that act. So we think we're in good hands in terms of staying compliant with the policy as well as the act. Nathan did suggest in his response to me that he would work and would be willing to rely on the advice of our investments advisor. So where he identified something or defined something in a certain way that was contrary to the investment advisor, I think his suggestion makes a lot of sense. He'd work with them to make sure that they're consistent in their identification of those in the consistent definitions. He did also note that there was some debt expense out of one fund. Normally we either transfer from water wastewater to the debt fund for a payment, or simply pay from water wastewater with refunding of the CO. We actually paid for it, but it wasn't paid for out of the debt fund. I believe it was paid for out of water wastewater. And that's also noted on page 121 if you wanted to look at that. Also, Nathan did suggest changing investments in one instance due to the investment not being credited to a net position in one fund, which staff will follow up on. We did meet the threshold for a single audit this year. I believe that's the first time it's happened in forever. Right, so that's just simply another step that you have to take if you reach a certain threshold of federal funds, which we did. In fact, which just about every public entity did this past year with ARPA and CARES Act funding. And that's noted on page 111. We did comply with all the federal requirements. And I defer to any other members of the committee, and certainly if we need to get Nathan up here to answer questions right now, for some simple ones for you, I'd be happy to.
I thought he did a very good job of making all of us who are not financial experts understand the audit. And I just wanted to say congratulations to Yvonne and all the rest of the staff for all the work they've done.
Yeah, no question about it. Were it not for the quality of staff the council has entrusted their funds to, we would not be in this position. And by that I mean Yvonne and her staff. So,
Either of you want to say anything? I'd entertain a motion.
I move to accept the fiscal year 2021-2022 City of Lampasas audit.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? If not, all those in favor? Any opposed? 7.8, discuss and consider the selection of a winner of the website photo contest entry.
Make a motion to select one of the entries. How about the one that was?
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 7.9, discussion and possible action regarding a joint statement issued by the City of Lampasas and Lampasas County regarding the US 281 relief route.
Mayor and Council, on February 13, Council appointed members to a subcommittee of city and county representatives to investigate and make recommendations related to a TxDOT feasibility study to address safety and congestions by means of a relief route. We have included the statement that the committee came up with, which represents the summary work product of that committee. Generally speaking, the statement suggests a relief route is not needed at this time. However, TxDOT should continue with the study to include alternatives and impact to the local economy. And I just want to mention this as well. The statement does not, in my opinion, urge TxDOT to abandon bypass, because that's how it's been reported, I believe, already. So I think I would just defer to the statement, which this is basically the last paragraph of what is included in your packet, and this is from that committee. It's understanding that elected officials should be engaged in long-term vision and future planning of our community. We, the Lampasas City Council and the Lampasas Commissioners Court, do not believe a relief route is needed at this time. However, we do believe TxDOT should proceed with the feasibility study, including assessment of all alternatives to improve traffic conditions, safety, and congestion, and assessment and study of any economic and business impacts from a relief route. We further recommend that TxDOT specifically study the following alternatives to a relief route: the effective improvements to widen the 281 south of the city of Lampasas from US 183 to 190, a study of smart lights along Key Avenue to eliminate unnecessary wait time at traffic lights and allow smoother flow of traffic, a study of eliminating unnecessary traffic lights along Key Avenue, a study of an overpass at the intersection of 183 and 281 north of Lampasas to allow for northbound traffic on US 183 to continue unimpeded. So I think what it generally says is it needs to be a more comprehensive and full study as it goes forward to include all those things. If there's a certain phase that could be done that would have a significant impact, and maybe that should be done, or that particular alternative should be looked at. I would be happy to defer to any of the members of the committee as well.
Make a motion to approve the joint statement issued by the city of Lampasas and Lampasas County regarding the US 281 relief route.
Second.
I do have a motion and a second. We have some comments.
I just thought it was a great opportunity. Staff and everybody else is where the council has to work hand in hand with the county. And that's the first time that's happened in a long, long time. Our brain line was very apologetic for us not doing this right.
So what would TxDOT's, what's their plan now? So they receive the letter and then they're just gonna shelve it, or is it like I mean, I know we can't tell what they're gonna do, but.
That would be my point. I think this certainly helps point them in a direction. Actually moving in that direction will be up to them. That's probably as much as I can put in.
I do have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That concludes our meeting. Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.